And here we are. Welcome to Daily Tarot Reading for Self-Love. For those of you who are just getting to know us,
I'm Heather.
And I'm David.
From ZenRoseGarden.
Home of Zen Ed Academy. As you come on, let us know where in the world you're watching from.
But before we pull a card for the day, before I show you the card, we want to know in the comments, you're going to self-read right now. Yeah. That's what you're going to do.
The card that fits your day today, the tarot card that fits your day today. Drop it in the comments what card you pick and why.
I would love it if you bring your cards to the reading.
Yes.
And here's why. As we take this moment of pulling the cards, I want you to pull a card for yourself, see what it is.
Right.
And that way everybody is reading themselves, and we're just going to kind of all put our collective energy into it and drop that card in the comments.
And drop your read.
And what's really fun about doing it that way is that you guys can comment on each other's cards that you pull and be like, hey, I get this feeling. And that way it's not just about one person, it's about all of us, our collective spiritual energy as a community. So I was excited when I pulled these cards out, because at first I was like, oh, is that a good card or not? There is really no good card or bad card in the tarot. They are what they are.
They are what they are. They just say things.
They just say things.
So Tanya says, the magician, I'm a manifesting mama today. Awesome. Chelsea says that since February 29th, I've seen how strong I've become with your guys' guidance.
Thank you.
Chelsea, that is awesome. It is awesome for us to see how much you have grown so far just by doing your work. Yeah, and
is what we live for.
Absolutely. Robbie says, normal cards work.
Yeah.
Not very familiar with cards. Honestly, you can pick anything. You can pick an animal. You can pick whatever represents your mood of the day. We're specifically doing tarot, but you can use anything as a way to kind of captivate the moment and captivate your snapshot of the moment.
So if you've got oracle cards, pull an oracle card.
Sure. And then Nima says 2 of Wands, and Enoch says 3 of Cups, getting my collective loves.
Oh, I love that.
Awesome.
I pulled the 3 of Cups for myself earlier, which is lovely, and I pulled it from the Santa Muerte deck. So these aren't the ones that I pulled for our collective reading today, but the 3 of Cups is fun.
It inverted, or
you've got it upside down?
Well, the question was, did it come out? How did it come out?
It's up. It's
so right side up.
Yeah, the 3 of Cups is a card of celebration, but the 3 of Cups, it's not just a card of let's go out and party.
Right.
If it's reversed, it is, but the 3 of Cups upright is about intentional celebration. Like you've accomplished something that you're proud of, and so you bring your homies together and you crack open a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
So let's
get into the card of the day.
We're going to show you the card of the day, and the card of the day is the 5 of Cups, which is sort of a sad card, but it's that moment when you know something is over. And I thought this really is kind of perfect for us in what we just talked about with grief, because we are experiencing pre-grief, and it's a weird kind of grief because we don't yet know what we're going to lose, right? Our businesses are changing, maybe relationships are changing, things are going to change. So the 5 of Cups is that still moment in between. You know you're going to lose something, you know you can't go back, but you're kind of like in that place where you're going to step into the future. So in the 3 of Cups, there's usually 3 cups that are fallen on the ground and 2 cups that are upright. And the 3 cups on the ground are sort of like, this is the shit I don't need anymore, or the stuff I lost, why don't I need it anymore? It wasn't useful for me, or I tried and it didn't work.
It's basically, if you look at this card, it's about looking instead of at all of the things that are going wrong in the world, all of the cups that have spilt over, you can actually turn around and look at the cups that are still there, the silver lining in any situation.
So the 2 cups that are upright are the lessons that you take with you. They're the things that have value that you've learned from the past.
Right.
So it really is a moment of stillness in between the movement forward and the relationship you're just coming out of. And because I pulled this collectively for all of us, it's really about our relationship with what was a few months ago is going to be totally different moving forward. So that's what we're grieving. And it's okay because we're moving forward and creating something new together.
All we've got to do is look back to the moments of growth that we've already had. And Robbie asked if he should pull a card now. Absolutely. Getting really good advice from you too. Thank you. Absolutely.
Thank you, Robbie.
And Lisa says, I'm confused by the upside down fool. We'll get into that in just a moment.
The upside down fool.
Yeah, the upside down fool. I think that's the card that she pulled.
So
then we have the
then
four.
we've got the six.
Cups.
You're looking at the numbers reversed. The Six of Cups. So I wanted some clarification on the Five of Cups because it is sort of a card of grief, right? The Five of Cups is a card of grief, but also a cup of looking forward into the future. And
a cup of looking forward.
Yeah. So the Six of Cups is really, I was surprised by this card, and it's funny because they went 5 and 6 in my cards. I shuffled. They're not in any kind of order. I've had these cards for years. But the Six of Cups is a card of nostalgia and sweetness, and it's about looking back into those times of joy, like maybe from our childhood, and remembering the sweetness of the past, our sweet memories of the people that maybe have gone before. So I think this was sort of a perfect card to come right after to clarify, like, okay, it's going to be okay because we haven't lost really the cups that have fallen. We haven't really lost the loved ones that are gone. I lost my dad last July before any of this mess happened. He'd be 100 years old on March 1st. He would have turned 100. And so I think this is like a joyful card for us to, you know, for me, I've been looking at pictures. I've been, you know, looking at my, you know, my dad's service last July, just looking at pictures, you know, today and earlier and what kind of joy that brings me. Yeah. It's just the happy memories. So I think
even now.
And we're creating memories right now with, you know, remember that time we were locked down in the virus of 2020? This is going to be us in like 100 years. You know.
And Lisa says yes from the deck. So we'll talk a little bit about the inverted Fool.
Inverted Fool. Okay.
Okay.
I'll give you a quick little on the inverted Fool because it can mean a few things. So the Fool upright is you're innocent. It's like intelligence with, you know, going through without experience.
Right.
So it's a new journey. It's not that you're dumb or stupid or a fool or an idiot. It's really you're coming into a new experience. You have intelligence without the experience, right? It's like you graduated from college, but you haven't been in the field yet.
Right.
Upside down, it can be a caution to, you know, don't do foolish, stupid things. So, like, don't be wasteful.
Be aware of what's going on and maybe shift your actions accordingly.
Right. So I think the Fool, if you pull the Fool reverse for yourself, it might be just telling you, look at the resources you have. Don't waste the resources on your journey. Watch out for people that are non-scrupulous. The Fool reverse can be, you know, warning to look out for people who are gonna. It's like Pinocchio, right? Pinocchio is the perfect example of the Fool. And he goes out and he gets fooled because he's innocent and he wants experience, but there's, you know, bad people that take advantage of him. So I think that's one of the meanings of the Fool reversed. Let's get into our self-care tip of the day. So the best way to combat fear is with love, right? And hand soap and good hygiene.
Yes,
and
please.
Non-avoidance or fairy dust, right?
Not too much fairy dust. A little bit's okay.
We're not like, let's fairy dust on everything or let's put fear on everything. We're like, let's be grounded, practical, but also understand who we are as spirit.
Again, we have one super simple spiritual practice that you can use right now that is known to neurologically lower anxiety, stress, and fear. Stay intellectually active. And here is why this helps to relieve stress, anxiety, and fear.
And all the things we're giving you are like, there's studies on them in neurology about why it really does do that. So intellectual stimulation, right? And in nearly any form lowers your tendency to react with anger or fear, and it strengthens the neural connections all through the frontal lobe of your brain, which, by the way, has more neural connections than any other part of your brain. And this improves your ability to communicate more clearly, to solve problems, and to make rational decisions about your behavior and leave some toilet paper for other people.
Yeah,
right?
Don't be that person, please. So when you strengthen the frontal lobe, you create a high-functioning environment that makes it easier to eat right, to exercise, to avoid health risks.
So these are things like memory games, right? Like those fun memory games you used to play. Like if you got 2 decks of the same tarot cards, you could play memory game. Did you guys ever do that? Play the game memory when you were a kid and you got all the cards and then you got to remember which ones match and you do that.
I didn't get it all right.
That was the funnest game. I loved that game. So memory games are one, strategy games, because what's happening is your brain is creating little maps of where things are and it's literally growing dendrites and neurons in your brain. It's
neural pathways inside of your brain. It's literally growing your brain.
So it might be difficult, but it's actually growing your brain. So strategy games, Battleship, right? Things like that.
You sunk my battleship.
But I'm serious. This is stuff that grows your brain more than you think, the frontal lobe. So the more intense the games and the more often, the more cognitive gain.
For a healthy brain, try the most intellectually challenging activities that you can, whether that is reading books, listening to books, watch education, watch science shows, maybe take a class, play chess, play games, maybe journal. And when it comes to taking a class, it's an even better idea to take a class in a group. And because things are going so much more online by default, it's a great place to come together with other people to learn things.
So one caveat, okay, which is basically a fancy way to say a warning, but I just like saying caveat because it sounds like caviar, but caviar is good and caveats are not. So these activities need to be enjoyable, okay, or it can actually interfere with memory function because you're like, I don't want to know, and that's way too hard, right? So here is your get out of jail free card. I'm going to give you a get out of jail free card. You're like, oh, this is like hard work.
This is work.
Make it enjoyable. Like, don't do math if you hate it. Unless you have a class you have to pass, then do your homework. But do make it a wide variety of things that stimulate your brain. Not just puzzles that you can always win or you already have put together 5 times, but do something new. Keep challenging yourself and don't get lazy.
Right. So engaging in religious or spiritual practices or maybe contemplating religious or spiritual issues that you enjoy thinking about is actually a really good thing for stimulating abstract thought in your brain. So when we're talking about spiritual issues or religious things, we're talking about this situation right now would be a perfect example of something that you can use to evolve yourself spiritually, to contemplate spiritually.
Let me make that clear, because it's not about like engaging in your spiritual practice, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about engaging in talking about religious or spiritual issues, like what are the deeper meanings? Talk to your friend. Where do you think God is God real? Is God not real? Do we make it up? Is it a feeling? Is it emotion? Talking about different spiritual constructs and reflecting on their meanings.
And then exploring different perspectives.
That's what grows the brain.
Right. So discuss issues with friends that are more open and seriously thinking about these deeper issues facing humanity. This should not be hard, especially not right now.
Right. So here's another, I'm going to use the word again, caveat. Okay. So this doesn't work if it's a battle about religion or spiritual issues. If you're like, no, this is that. It actually, that takes you backwards, and it actually, that does not stimulate the frontal part of your brain. It stimulates the amygdala and the fear centers, which sends toxic chemicals into the frontal brain.
So that actually creates neurotoxicity inside of your brain, worrying about things that you absolutely despise or hate. If it's math, then math is going to be bad for your brain.
Not that you can avoid math forever, because
because 1 plus 1 is awesome.
That's a different issue. Try to have a better relationship with math. But
Amy says enjoyable. So dancing rather than memorizing battle dates. Yeah.
I want to tell you that all of these things are incredibly good ways of activating complex circuits in your brain, which are here and help to lower anxiety and fear. But I'm going to help out the moms right now because I know a lot of your kids are home from school. Let's talk about video games for a minute. And you don't get to say anything because you're a video gamer. Mostly violent video games do not grow the frontal lobe. And depending on the person that's playing them, it can cause aggression. That doesn't mean you don't have the ability to play like a war game or a shooting game and not be
it's when it triggers the emotions of anger and aggression
So non-violent video games that get you to use strategy without creating anger or negative reactions can be good. So if you see your kids getting wound up and like, give me that, maybe we go, you know, put a puzzle, you put a puzzle together, right? So you know your own kid, you know you, and you know yourself, right? So you and yourself.
Are you or your kids getting all wound up? Or are they enjoying the challenge? There's a big difference in the approach to the game, just like the approach to anything in life. If you are approaching it with contemplation, with expansion, then you're going to grow more in your brain. If you're approaching it with fear and constriction and anger and frustration, then you're going to shrink your brain. You're gonna cause less growth, and you're actually gonna cause more ways to harm your brain.
So years ago, we were prompted, like 12 years ago when we first started business, but 3 years ago we really started in earnest to move into the virtual world and our virtual business and create a metaphysical school and community online. And this was 3 years ago we really started building it. And so,
but we had that intention since we met in 2012.
So we started building it with intention
2008.
2008. So we started building it with intention 3 years ago, not knowing fully what it would mean.
Or how it would develop. So even though we've been teaching in-person workshops locally in Vegas for over 10 years, we knew that we wanted to empower more people to use their gifts for the collective good. Especially because our clients have been expanding globally that whole time.
And so we also knew that not everybody is able to get out to a healing center, especially now. And I'm like, great, we're already like, we got it up and running. So, but it's still super important to have support and community available when you need it the most, because that's where all those endorphins, the dopamine from just being together, it just helps us feel better, right?
We are ready to go. We've essentially created a fully operational healing center that fits in the palm of your hand. Check that out and see if that's something that you're interested in.
It is a support throwdown in there with some serious daily brain gasms.
Boom. And since you've watched this far, be sure to check out the goodies we've got for you. The link is in the description below. If you like this video,
hit the like button.
And if you want to see more videos like this,
be sure to subscribe.
And spank, spank, spank the bell.
So you were the first to know
when we drop a new video.
Or go live.
Now, speaking of checking in, check out these videos right here and right here. We'll see you in the next video.
We'll see you tomorrow.